Muy buenos días, ¿cómo están? Disculpen porque nos sacó un momentico el wifi de aquí, pero ya estamos listos. Por favor, envíe mensajes que la gente se conecte ya, porque nuestra invitada especial se levantó a las 3 de la mañana. Por favor, son las 3 de la mañana para ella, así que envíen mensajes que se conecten ya, porque esta es una llamada muy especial y la verdad no se las voy a pasar a las que no estén conectados. Así que por favor, manden el mensaje que se conecten ya y comenzamos. Entonces, recuerden, como va a ser traducido inmediato, vayan a los tres punticos y busquen
Interpretación
interpretación y ahí lo vamos a
o
conectar.
traducción.
O traducción, perfecto. So now I'm going to start in English,
Sí,
right?
pueden ir donde dice los tres punticos si están en el celular, o hay un globito que dice traducir o traducción o interpretación, y ahí le dan clic y ahí seleccionan el español, que nuestra querida amiga Silvana Jorlane nos está haciendo el favor para traducir.
Perfecto. Entonces comienzo en inglés ahora sí ya. Right,
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. So now ya pueden ir a la traducción porque vamos a comenzar. So, good morning, everybody. Oh my God, I'm so excited, Pauline. Thank you so much for waking up at 3 a.m. I apologize. I was actually putting in the wrong time, but this is a call that we just start early in the morning for the people that really want to go to the success trip in Madrid or in Shanghai from the people in Europe, or to Korea for the people in Australia, that we had people here from Australia. And let me tell you, Pauline is the first international guest that speaker that we had for this call, because when I went to the Tinelli trip, honestly, she was the one that caught my attention in all areas. Like, first, what an incredible leader that she is. She's been at Tinelli for 2 years, but this time she was Tinelli Platinum 4. Oh my God, I got spoons. And she made a huge bonus that everybody, we were so excited about that. But more than that, let me tell you, one of the things that I love her, it was she's an incredible and humble leader. And her story impact us, baby, right? So when I was talking with the team, I said, okay, we're going to start this new international phone call with incredible stories around the world, because that's one of the things that I love the most about this business, that we can meet incredible people for different countries. And we decided that she will be our first speaker for this call that we are doing. So all of us, we can make the success trip. So Pauline, again, thank you so much for waking up at this time. So please, everybody, send the messages, because we start the phone call right now, and let's listen for her incredible story. Thank you, Pauline. She is in Tonga. And that was one of the things that amazed me the most, because when she told me I did the Platinum 4 in Tonga, there is no more connection, I was just amazed about her story. So Pauline, welcome to our phone call, and thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you so much, Patty, for having me on this call. It's 2 a.m. here in Tonga, but I'm awake anyway, so it's all right. I put the kids to sleep and then I get to work on my business. And so, hi everyone. It's such a pleasure to meet you guys. My name is Pauline Kaufusi. I started this business 8 years ago. I was 24 years old when I started, and I had no idea what this business was about. All I knew is that the products worked. And because it worked, it was very easy for me to share it. And so I was just telling people about it. You guys should use this. You guys should use this. And I was just naturally sharing. And then the girl I was buying from says to me, well, why don't you just do the business? Because you're already doing it. And then I just told her, oh, like I got two kids under two. I don't have time. I have no business experience. And she said, well, why don't you just come to my house? And I went over. It was like an info night. And I heard about the business. But what really stood out to me was the success trips. And I remember going home and I told my husband, I think I want to do this business. And he said, like, why? And I said, I don't know. It just feels right. There was nothing that they said, but it just felt right to me. And so I got to work. First thing I did was I met up with someone who had been successful in the business. I asked her, how did you qualify for the success trip? Show me how so that I can do the same. And really, it just takes that one thing, that mentorship, that guidance from one person to tell you how they did it and then for you to copy. And that's what I loved about this business. I would just watch people from all over, from the UK. I would watch people from America, and I said, okay, they're doing it this way, I'm going to copy. They're doing it this way, I'm going to copy. And I just kept copying until we figured it out. And like people always think like, what's the secret to becoming a team elite? What's the secret to becoming a team elite 4-star platinum? And I told them, you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but the secret is working. That's all it is. Working on your business every single day. And there's only 2 things that we work on, and there's only 2 things that we do. And it's 1, sharing the product, and 2, sharing the business. And the more you can do that, the more you share the product, the more you share the business, that's how you will grow. And so a little bit about my story. I'm a mom of 4 now. When I started this business, my kids were 1 and newborn. So I just thought if I could just do this business while I'm at home on maternity leave, maybe I'll make some extra money for nappies, for wipes, for formula. Like that's all I really wanted to do the business for, like just for a little bit of money. And then when I started doing it, a little bit of money turned into a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And that was enough for me. When I first started, my profit from my first post was about $60. And for some people, they're like, oh, but it's only $60. But for me, it wasn't the $60. It was the belief now that if I can make $60, I can make $600. I can make $6,000. I can make $60,000. And that's what that $60 meant to me, is that it gave me hope to keep growing in the business. So I start sharing the products. I start to grow the business, and I learn about these success trips. And I told my husband, if we could just get on one success trip, then that'll be enough. Like, let's just go on the trip, come back, and we'll quit. I'll go back to my job. I'll go back to work, and we'll just do that. And so we get to work. We start sharing the product. We start sharing the business. And all I did was I said, okay, what is the qualification for Madrid? Or what is the qualification for Korea or for Shanghai? What products do I need to sell to get that trip? So that whether my team join or not, I can still go on this success trip. So all I do is I map it out, and I'm like, okay, if I just sell this many age lock meta or this many reset, I can go on a success trip. And I just divide it up amongst me and a couple of girls that I'm starting to work with. And then we just start sharing. I have like no Facebook friends. I have no following on social media. All I have is a desire to go on the success trip. And so I just start talking to people. I'm talking to my parents' friends. I'm talking to anyone who will listen. I'm telling them about the product and about the business. I was a little bit crazy, I felt, at that time. I was just like so committed to going on the success trip because I just wanted to know if it was real. And if it was, then I would go. So rewind. After I start, I qualify for the success trip to South Africa, and I go with my husband, and I can't unsee what I saw on the success trip. And it's a 17-hour plane ride back from South Africa, and I told my husband, I need to go on the next one. What do we need to do to get on the next success trip? And the answer to that was I got to take people with me. I got to take people and show people how this business works and how these success trips work. So we come back, we map it out. What do I need to do to qualify for the next success trip? And then from there, we started to grasp this idea. And I actually learned this from the American team, that in order for you to grow your pin title and grow in the compensation plan, you've got to take people on success trips. And so for us in the Pacific, our success trip equates to about 10,000 points. And 10,000 points is the leadership legs. To qualify to become a team elite, you got to have 4 leadership legs: a 10,000, a 20,000, a 30,000, and a 40,000. And like I could barely get my LOI. It took me like the whole month to get my LOI. Then when I became a brand rep, it took me the whole month to get my brand rep. And then when I was nearly Ruby, my entire team quit. So, like, I know what it feels like to struggle in the business. But, every time I think of quitting and every time I think, is this even going to work? I always get this voice inside my head that says, what if it does work? And what if you do go on this trip? And what if you do get to the top? And that was enough for me to keep going. And something that my brother shared with me that I always tell my team is he said, do you know the reason why people hate network marketing and the reason why people hate companies like yours? Because people start and stop and start and stop. And so if you just start and keep going, people will like it and people don't mind. And so I committed to keep going, to coming up and to showing up. And so, like Patty said, I qualified for these trips. We qualified for South Africa. 6 months later, we're in Croatia. 6 months after that, I go to Ireland with the American trip. After that, I go to Vietnam. And then after Vietnam, we were supposed to go to the Alaskan cruise. I had 26 accounts qualify for that cruise. And then what happens? COVID happens and the world shuts down. So when the world shut down, I'm mainly growing my business with success trips. Now they're gone. That's like, let's say, for example, if your product was collagen, it's like taking collagen out of the market for 3 months. Or if your product, let's say, is the galvanic spa, it's like new skin going out of stock for 3 months, for 3 years. And so I'm sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to sell? Everyone is stopping. And it's not that they quit. This is what they said to me. When success trips come back on, then I'll come back into the business. So everyone stopped. Like my whole team. I was already team elite at this time. So I go to South Africa, 2018. 6 months later, I'm Blue Diamond. 3 months after that, I'm team elite. So I get to team elite pretty quickly. And then I go back down to Lapis because everyone quit. Like everyone. My whole team quit. My best friend quit. My husband's best friend quit. Even my husband quit. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to retire for a little bit. And so I'm sitting there in my garage trying to figure out, like, do I still do new skin? Like, I'm pregnant every year during COVID. I had two more kids during COVID. I'm like, I hate everything. I can't do anything. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, do I want to build the business again? Like, I know what it takes to become a team elite. And I'm sitting there battling with myself, like, do I want to build again? Like, I can't be bothered doing this. But then again, the little voice inside me says, what happens if you get to team elite again? And what happens if you build again? And I'm just like, I'm gonna do it. And so I just keep showing up and I keep sharing. And then one day, this girl messages me and she says, hey, show me what you're doing. And I said, okay. But I'm like, postpartum, I can't be bothered doing anything. Here's a video. And I send her a video. And then she asked me what product. And I said, get this many points, you become like, I'm doing bare minimum. Get 2,000 points, you become a brand rep. Sell this, you can qualify for the Maldives. Like, I'm just kind of sending her stuff. And then she shows up and she's like, okay, I got my product. Okay, I'm a brand rep. Okay, I'm qualifying for the trip. And she just like gets to brand rep. Then she gets to gold. Then she gets to lap and she qualifies for Maldives. And then 2 years later, she's like a team elite. And so I've already built up to team elite again. And this all happened in the space of like 18 months. And, for me to qualify for the next success trip, after COVID, I go on the success trip alone. And on the success trip, I'm like, do I build the business again or do I just quit? And then I go on the success trip alone and guess who I meet? I meet Milena, who's a Colombian, who's in your team. And Milena comes with her downline, Marcella and Julia, and they're this Australian group of Colombian girls. And I don't have a team on this trip alone. I don't have a team, and I kind of just hang out with them, and they're so much fun. And they say to us, like, this is our first success trip. And I tell them, I can train you guys. Like, I'm a team elite. I know how to build the business. And at that point, I'm like, I don't care if I share all my secrets. Like, I could pretty much quit at this point. So I was sitting by the pool and I'm doing the presentation. I'm showing them the supplements. I'm showing them how to present. And I just have a blast with them. Like, they're all drinking. I don't drink. So I'm giving them like, let's just eat everything. And it's just so much fun. And that reminded me of the community that New Skin has. And I just said, like, how fun for them to all be here. Like, this group of Colombian girls, and they tell me about their struggle of moving from Colombia to Australia, speaking no English, starting at jobs where they're cleaning, starting at jobs where they're trying to work out how to push buttons on the towel when they're at the supermarket. And I just told them, like, this is what New Skin's about. New Skin is about showing ordinary people that life is so much more. And I come back from that trip and I told my husband I'm going to build again. And my daughter's like 3 months old at that point, and I'm just like, I'm going to build. I don't know who with and how, but I'm going to build again. So I start building, and I start building with this new girl who's messaged me, and she's climbing and she's qualifying for the next success trip to the Maldives. And my next pin title to qualify for the next trip is like massive. And I'm scared to post it, because if I post it, what if I don't get it? And I'm like embarrassed if I don't achieve it. And then a little voice inside me again says, you got to do it, because what happens if you go? So I go, I take a photo, and the next success trip, I've got to climb back up to Team Elite. And I'm Lapis at that point, you guys. So I'm Lapis. The next month, I'm Ruby. The next month, I'm Emerald. The next month, I'm Diamond. The next month, I'm Blue Diamond. The next month, I'm Team Elite. Like, it just happens like this. And so, honestly, I don't, I'm telling you, I don't know what I did. All I know is that I didn't stop doing. I was just doing and doing and doing. And the doing is just sharing the product and sharing the business. And I'm like working closely with my account manager, and I'm telling him, what do I need to do next? How do I show up next? And I'm just like, I'm so aggressive. Like, waking up at 2 in the morning is not a big deal to me, because, when people talk about like, you got to go all in, this is what it is to go all in. It's like, it's just deciding that I'm going to build this business whether I have good internet or not. I'm going to build the business whether I have a team or not. And you are your team before your team show up. So if I were my team, would I be happy with my work ethic? If my team did everything I did today, would I be happy with it? Would I be inviting? Would I be presenting? Would I be following up? And even though I am like a Team Elite 4-star Platinum, I'm still signing people up today. I'm still presenting. I'm still meeting as if I am still a gold in the business or still a brand rep in the business, because you can't fall into management mode. You can't just be like, okay, cool, I got my team. Angel will just work. Lenny will just work. All of these girls will just work and I'll just relax, because it's so easy to fall into that. And something that my general manager always said to me is, he said, just don't get complacent. Don't get comfortable with your income. Don't get comfortable with your life, because there is so much out there that New Skin can build. And sometimes I'm like, man, I'm making good income. Like, I got a good team. Like, I got good leaders. And then I go to the Team Elite trip and I meet people like Patty, and I meet people like Sandy, and I meet people like Kenton. And they're all these like legends in New Skin. And they're like, oh yeah, that team is on my like 10th level. And I've got like 5 Team Elites on this team, and I've got like $10 million circles on this team. And I'm like, what? You mean they can earn this kind of income? And it just helps me to elevate my vision. And, I'm talking to Patty, and she's like, oh, you got back from Cancun? I just built a house in Cancun. And I'm like, what? Like, that's the type of life that New Skin can give us. And it just lets you dream a little bit, And what I love about New Skin and the people that I got to meet on the success trip in Greece, there was hardly anyone who was like, oh yeah, my parents were millionaires, and so that's why I'm millionaires. Like most of the people I met there, they were like, nah, I was poor when I started. I was like a taxi driver when I started. I was, I was a high school dropout when I started. So these are all ordinary people who have just found a business that allows them to live a big life and to be able to serve and to be able to grow. And the most life-changing part of the success trip to Greece, the Team Elite trip to Greece, was when there was a Colombian or maybe Mexican team. I think they were a part of Patty's team. I'm not sure, but they're on stage. There's about like 4 of them, and they're standing there hugging, and they're running. They're announced as new Team Elites, and one of them runs back to Sandy Tillerton, and she says to Sandy, "These are my people," like pointing at her team and saying, "These are my people." And I just got so emotional because I could see the pride. I could see like just how happy she was that her people are now at the top. And all I could think of is, I want my people here. I want my team to see this. I want my people to experience the top. And so that, to me, I left that success trip thinking, I will never come back alone on a success trip. I will never come back alone on a Team Elite trip. And I just got to keep bringing people. I just got to keep showing up and keep showing them. So that was in June. And since then, we have had multiple people already finish their qualification for Korea. And I'm just drilling with my team. Don't stop when you are done. Get the next person, get the next person, get the next person. Because the success trip is not done until December. And we've got girls who finished already. Like, that's crazy. And all we got to do is take more people, take more people, take more people. Because when you align your business with success trips, it's not about the destination. That's what I want people to understand. It's not about, because you guys might think like, oh, Spain, I go there all the time. It's not about Spain. It's about going and experiencing and being a do-it-first leader so that your team can say, oh, my upline did it, so I'm going to do it. Or I did it, so now my team can do it. Because when you show through your actions, that is more powerful than you telling people, like, this business works, this business works. Like, they need to see someone do it. And so I just love what this business offers. And I know that Spain is going to help someone have a aha moment. Like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run, and I'm going to run for Team Elite, and I'm going to run to the top. And, something that my downline always says is, she said, nothing is more powerful than a made up mind. And when you make up your mind, I'm going to Spain or I'm going to Korea, you don't know how. You don't know with who. You don't know what strategy. All you know is that you're going, and then you just keep doing, and you keep showing up, and you keep growing, and then people will start to show up. Because that's what happened to me when I was a lapis, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to get to Team Elite again. But I just kept working, and I kept growing. And no one knew that my business was down, because I'm all about speaking life and speaking and manifesting things into existence. So I'm always talking about, the business is growing, everyone is so excited. I'm just talking about growth. And I'm saying, like, everything is growing right now. Everyone is earning more. And like, no one is growing and no one's earning more, but I'm just saying it and I'm talking about it. And then one person signs up, and then another person signs up, and then another person signs up. So you never know who's going to come into your life. You never know who's going to be the next person, but then they just come and they just show up. And then you're like, this is it. And then you just keep running, you keep running, you keep running. And then the next one joins. Then keep running, keep running, keep running. Then the next one joins. And then before you know it, you're a ruby, and then you're an emerald, and then you're a diamond, then you're a blue diamond, then you're a Team Elite. So just know that it can be done because Patty's done it. So if one person's done it, then everyone else can do it. I just need to know what Patty did. And, there's one thing that I know about Patty. Once she starts talking, she will talk, 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 and talk. And that's all we have to do in this business is talk. We just talk and talk and talk, and we get paid to talk. And so if we just share, someone's eventually going to buy, someone's eventually going to join. We just have to keep showing up. And so I don't know if that's helpful, or if anyone has any questions. Maybe I'll turn the time to Patty and you can ask me some things.
Wow, Pauline, it's so excited. Everybody is making amazing comments on how inspired you are. And actually, they say that they can feel your heart. I think for me, that was really important because I was telling it that's to be a teen lead. Like, have the heart that you have, like those values to share, to have that abundance because the sun is for everybody. So thank you so much, Pauline. Pauline, I would like that you tell them something really important that impact me about your story. Because a lot of people sometimes complain about like, oh, I'm alone in my city. Maybe my upline doesn't call me. Let me tell you that Pauline has been working by herself because their uplines are retired. I love my uplines, but you know how's this business? This business tell us like, okay, you work some time, you can retire it. So listen to me, leaders. Listen to me. Pauline did it alone with no uplines practically, no uplines. So that's what she said. Oh, I start kind of like try to learn like for here and here because she didn't practically. She has uplines, but most of the uplines were retired. Is that correct, Pauline? Can you tell them about that? Because some of you are really, how do you say consentidos, baby? Like really like you had all your uplines. You had your outlines coming to see you. Actually, Steve Won, our upline right now, is working like crazy in Colombia. He's going to Chile. He's going to Peru. And sometimes, maybe in our team, they say, oh, should I go to the vet or should I not go? Can you imagine that? Like, because when we are, how do you say consentidos? Like, we had too much attention. You know, our uplines are incredible. They are really hard workers. They've been with us. They come and visit us. And then we are like, nah, she's coming from Colombia to visit me to Chile or to Peru and whatever. Like, she did it without island. So, Pauline, I would love that you tell them about that.
Sure. Yeah, you guys are so lucky that you guys have working uplines. So my upline, my original sponsor quit before I even got to gold. So she quit. And then her upline, me and her worked together. We did presentations. We did the business together. Then she got pregnant. And so she didn't work the business anymore. And then her upline, he's like 70. He kind of works sometimes, but doesn't work. He's already $1 million circle earner. He's like Blue Diamond. And then his upline is Kenton Worthington. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's our Team Elite upline. So after him was me. I was the next Team Elite after him. And he hasn't done the business in like 8 years or like 10 years. His last event that he did was before me, like before I even joined. So, I'm new. All I know is that Team Elite is the top, and that's what I want to do. But I have no idea. I don't even know what it means to be a Team Elite. And so I'm kind of just like a little bit delusional. And I'm like, well, I'm going to get to Team Elite. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And so I just start following people on social media. And then I heard about this group that's growing in the UK. And they were talking about getting to Blue Diamond in 8 months and then getting to Team Elite in like 15 months. And I said, well, if they can do it, we can do it. And then I hear about this group in America and they're growing and they're building with success trips. And I'm like stalking everyone. Like that's how I'm learning. I'm learning through social media. Like no one's training. I'm like on YouTube. How does New Skin work? I learned about how to become a Team Elite through a YouTube video that like, I don't know if you guys know Alyssa Jackson, but her husband, Nick Jackson, did a video and I did a call for them. And I said, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but I actually learned about the business through a video that you did. And he said, wow, like it was like a 6-minute video. All it was talking about was if you sell toothpaste, you can make some profit. Then you can earn a sharing bonus. Then you can become a brand rep and you can earn the build bonus. And then if you build this many legs, you become a Team Elite. I had no idea. All I knew is that video was what showed me. And I just watched it and watched it and watched it. And so as I'm starting to grow my business, like I'm just watching what are they doing in the UK? And some of them are using the Lumi Spa and talking on their stories. So I'm like, okay, if they're doing that in the UK, let's do it. But I'm not selling the Lumi Spa. So instead, what I do is I'm taking my supplements and talking. I'm just copying everything that they're doing. And then in the American market, they're talking about success trips. As soon as someone posts something about it, I copy. I'm just copying everything. And so that's the best thing about this business. Everything is online and everyone is doing it. So if we just keep copying, we will eventually get there. And then I go to this trip to Greece and I learn about these American girls. So there are 6 4-star platinums around the world. One is from Mexico, one is from Southeast Asia, 2 are from America, and 2 are from the Pacific. Me and my upline with the other Team Elite 4-star platinums. And so I start watching the girls in America and I look at they start posting about their schedule, and they're like, they've got call after call after call. So I'm thinking, I got to copy that. I got to do a call after call after call. So like I said, it's just a matter of watching what's working and then applying it. And, sometimes, like you said, you get like a little bit spoiled because you're like, oh, I've got an upline who's Team Elite and I've got another upline who's Team Elite. But you just have to be the one. Be the one who commits to be like, I'm going to be the next Team Elite. I'm going to be the next Team Elite. And I remember Nathan Ricks did one last tour before he retired and before he passed away. And on his last tour to New Zealand, I went up to him after the event. I think at that time, I'm like an emerald or something. And I walk up to him and I said, I'm going to be the next Team Elite from New Zealand. And he said, good for you. Like, do it. Don't tell me, tell yourself that you're going to do it. And then I said, I'm going to do it. And then I have no idea how. And then I become a Team Elite. And I'm just like, see the power of words and the power of deciding. And so even though you don't have an upline who's active in the business, or even if you don't have an upline in the same country as you, I had a downline. I didn't meet her in person until her first success trip. And so all of the work we did was on Zoom. All of the work we did was on Facebook, on just Messenger, calling each other. So we meet for the first time on our first success trip, and then she becomes a diamond. So don't think you need to be in the same country as someone in order to grow. Just find someone that you really look up to in the business and just copy what they do and just keep practicing. And, it takes learn and take what works and apply it. Don't just learn and learn and learn. And something that my mentor told me is he said, for every 1 hour you spend learning, spend 1 hour applying, because that's the only time it works. Learn, apply, because if you don't do it, it's not going to work. It's like people knowing how to get skinny, but they don't get skinny because they don't apply. Like, we all know that if you go to the gym, you'll lose weight. And if you take your supplements, you'll lose weight. And if you walk, you'll lose weight. But only those who work and walk and go to the gym and take their supplements will lose weight. Some people will pretend to go to the gym. They just go take a selfie, walk around, then they go home. They're not going to get the results, even though they look like they're working. They're not going to get the results because they're not actually doing the work. So there could be people on this Zoom, and I tell people in my team all the time, maybe you attend all the Zooms and you look like you're working, you post, but you're not actually working. You're not inviting, you're not presenting, you're not following up. Always be looking for the next person, the next person, the next person. And through your example, people will have something to copy. So even till this day, today, if you look at my social media on Instagram, I'm still posting about success trips. Like, all of my stories is about success trips. On my Facebook, I'm doing a live taking my supplements. So even though I'm a Team Elite 4-star platinum, I'm still acting as if I'm a brand rep. I'm still talking about the products. I'm still documenting everything. I'm still working as if I'm growing. And you'll start building people and you'll start growing. Like just before this call, I signed up a new girl. And that's what I'm saying. Like every day you've got to be committed to your goal. And you've got to be careful with your words as well. You know, sometimes if you say stuff like, oh, no one's buying, my team are unmotivated, my team, you know, the more you say it, the more your team will perform like that. So sometimes you've got to trick yourself into believing. And you know, there was a time where my team weren't as committed, and I have like a definite purpose statement. And Alan Nagel, who's your upline, he's like the best at this. So you guys should be, you know, learning from him. And I sat with them during breakfast, and he talked about the power of definite purpose statements. And in my definite purpose statement, like my team were not really committed. I would say I have a strong growing team of hardworking, positive leaders. I would say that even though my team was not strong, they weren't growing, they weren't hardworking, but I would say it and I would say it and I would say it. And then out of nowhere, someone comes and she's strong and hardworking. Someone comes and she's positive, and people will come into your life. So I always tell people it doesn't matter what your upline is doing. It doesn't matter what your sidelines are doing. The only thing that matters is what are you doing and what are you duplicating down to your team. Because sometimes we get into the politics of it all and it turns into high school where you're like, she's not my team. I'm, you know, my team. Like, you know, it turns into this high school clique thing. But at the end of the day, it's the team that matters the most is you and your husband and your kids. That's the team that you're fighting for. That's the team that you're showing up for. So whether you're downline or not doing anything doesn't matter, because I got to do it because I got kids who are looking up to me, and I got a husband who's counting on me to make it work for our family. And so if you just keep that in mind, that I'm doing this for my kids, and my husband always says this to me, if you quit, you're you are teaching our daughters to be quitters. And to me, I'm just like, I can't quit, because I don't want my daughter to be like, you know, grow up and be like, oh, my mom quit, so it's okay, I can quit. Like, no, I've got to be an example, even when it's hard, even when things, you know, like I've got a 3-year-old daughter and she always gets frustrated if she's playing a game on like her iPad and she loses and she goes, I can't do it, I can't do it. And I told her, you can do it, try again, try again, try again. And you've got to be the example, and you've got to be like, it's a winning mindset. And you know, you can train and teach the kids. Like, it's just so powerful. I've got my kids who are every day reading their goals, every day showing up and you know, talking themselves into it. And that's what we're doing. We're building a legacy, and the legacy is our kids, and our legacy is our downline. And through your example, people will follow. Because you can do this all the time, but your actions will speak louder.
Wow, Pauline, I think everybody is on fire and actually emotionally, right? Because wow, you made me emotionally about how it's not excuses, leaders. It's not excuses. It's when we want something from our heart and our purpose is really good. Like there is no excuses. And Pauline, just last question, because sometimes we get like on focus and like this product or the other product, but one of the things that I love about Pauline when I was talking to her in the Tinder tree was she told me that they start with a product that it was not expensive, because maybe we think, oh, is this business is better if we sell a product that is not expensive, right? Like AP24, something like that. But after, no, she changed her mind and she find out like she can do this business even though like taking out the thinking about this product is expensive and people doesn't buy or something like that, you know. They work with a product that maybe we don't have in the Americas right now, or like we do, but we had collagen. But sometimes we put that in, or people say, oh, it's expensive, people is not gonna buy, right? But how, Pauline, you change your mind into that, and after you are like, everybody's gonna buy this. Like, I love that story that you told me too.
Yeah, when we decided we're gonna qualify for the success trip, we knew we had to look for a high product.
Yes.
Not just high points, but also returning product.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at the catalog and I was thinking, should I sell the Lumi Spa? Should I sell the Y-Span? Y-Span was my first product that ageLOC used, was what got me to Team Elite the first time. And I didn't know how to sell it. It was too expensive for me. I had to use my whole savings to buy one bottle. But I knew that if it worked, I could sell it. And all I needed to find out was, does it work? And if people take it, will it work? And we just started experimenting. And then all we had to do is share the value. And this is something that I always tell my team. If you think it's expensive, it will be expensive. And something that my brother told me, my brother's quite wise. He's like younger than me, but this is what he said to me. Just because you are poor doesn't mean that everyone else is poor. So just because you can't afford it doesn't mean that there are people out there who can't afford it. And that kind of changed my mindset and my thinking about it. And so he said, you've just got to share the benefits and tell people about it. And if they think it's valuable, they will pay for it. Because if you think about the iPhone is the most expensive phone on the market, but I bet you more than 3/4 of everyone on this call own an iPhone. Maybe put a 1 in the chat if you're an iPhone. Most people have an iPhone not because it's cheap, but because it's valuable. And so that's the same thing with this product. Like, it's not cheap. Like, Meta is not cheap. Reset or collagen is not cheap, but it works. So what we have to do is we have to show people, what does it do? How does it work? If I take it, will I get good results? And if we can show them that, that's all it takes to sell. And so we just got to keep talking about our product. We just got to keep sharing it. And again, be careful with our words. If you think it's expensive, people are going to think it's expensive. But if you think like, man, this is the best collagen, look at the results, look at what it's doing, look at how it's working before and after, and you just keep pitching that, that's how you're going to grow the business. And yeah, that's how we started growing, at least.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you so much. And just the last thing, one of the things that I love the most about in the Greece itinerary trip cruise, it was, we always wanted to be Tinali Platinum 4-star. I remember with Andres when we were Tinali Platinum 4-star and they give us amazing gifts and things. But this Tinali trip, I was amazed because actually it was not something I didn't even expect, because they talk about a bonus, right? But we were like, yeah, the bonus, right? But when they were in the stage, I remember I was sitting with Andres and suddenly they start giving the Tinelli Platinum for like Pauline and his husband, that they've been working so hard and they deserve it so much, like whatever gift it was for the Tinelli Platinum 4 bonus. But listen to this, the bonus was $100,000. And I remember Andres and I, we were like, what? And we were so excited, we were so like excited to see, even though that year we were not Tinelli Platinum 4 or something, like this new Tinelli Platinum 4 for the 2024, they received the bonus. Pauline, what did you feel like at that moment? I remember seeing your face and everybody's face for the Tinelli Platinum 4, and I just want to talk about how incredible is our company. That surprised us, we just don't have an amazing compensation, because our compensation is incredible, but giving us those kind of like extra bonus for us, like how did you feel at that